Hi, my name is Kevin, and I'll be walking you through this tutorial on how to use the universal laser here at Notre Dame's Innovation Lab. First things first, whenever you're in the laser room, safety is always top priority. So make sure you have your laser safety glasses and also a pair of earphones. It gets mighty loud sometimes. A couple important things to note before we get started, just where things are. On the right, you'll see the laser focusers and the lenses that we'll be using in a bit. This is also sometimes where the mouse is stored. The mouse may be up top, up here, or sometimes on the side, so you might have to scrounge around for it, but that's typically where it lives. Now behind me, if you just watched the coaster video on how to make a 4-pack of coasters, these are the planks that we're using that are already cut to the size you need. For more information on that, feel free to watch the tutorial, link in the description. In the case that there is any sort of fire or smoke or not smoke, just a fire that you see, this will be the solution. Just grab your spray bottle here, open it up, spritz a little bit of water on it, and that'll do it. Most of the time, flame is usually caused by the speed being too low, improper focusing of the material, and that's simply fixed. So rather than using a fire extinguisher and wrecking the machine, typically just a quick fix on the settings. So if you do see a flame or make sure to grab that water and spur it out. It's also why it's important to stick around for the first 30 seconds to a minute of your cut. Make sure that everything is cutting properly. There's not extra smoke, the vac is working, and so forth and so on. So let's jump right in. Today we'll be cutting 4 coasters on a plank of wood that I showed you earlier. Let's dive into it. First off, I'm going to turn on the machine. Now, to turn on the machine, I need to first know that it's off. This LCD screen right here, if it's black, it shows nothing. Obviously, it's off. There's a giant switch on the right down here. Basically, put your hand down here. There's 2 cords, a skinny cord and a fat cord. The fat cord will be right behind the switch. So go ahead and stick your hand right down here, flick on this giant switch in front of the fat cord, and then you'll see this LCD screen turn on with the universal laser systems incorporated on it, and that tells you it's booting up and it's thinking. Now, important thing to note is that the vacuum here at Notre Dame is connected to both lasers. So our one vacuum blower controls both of them, which means in order to get vacuum on this one, I have to turn on the large laser cutter. So I'll take you there now to go ahead and do that. This here is the large format current laser. To turn it on, there's 2 green buttons. Basically, you're just going to come over here, click start, and then click start on the vacuum blower. Now everything is good to go. You can see here there's paper covering it. If there's not paper covering it already, the vacuum does not pull. So this here is the hexagon sheet which the wood or whatever material you're using rests on, and this is what actually the air sucks through. So if it's uncovered and you see this hexagon showing, that means that the vacuum is actually just pulling air straight from here and going out, rather than actually going and pulling vacuum from the universal. So anytime this is uncovered, make sure to cover it. There's a simple roll of paper in the back. Put your paper, so simply just slide the paper through until you cover the entire thing. Make sure the vacuum is off, or else you basically can't move the paper at all. So I've turned off the vacuum. I have placed the paper over top to cover the hexagon, and now I will turn on the laser and then turn on the vacuum blower itself. Come down here, and I'll click the green button, start, and start. We're good to go over here. Now we are pulling back on the system. To turn it off, I'll simply press the red button off, and then there we go. So to start, it's left to right, and then when you turn it off, it's right to left. Top green, bottom red, bottom red. Now, typically I would keep this on for the entire duration of whatever I'm about to do next, but just for the sake of volume and making this video, I'll be turning off the blower while I explain the next steps. As you can see, our LCD screen is showing, the laser is on, and now we're ready to get our file cut. First thing you're going to do is open up Corel Draw. Once you have Corel open, go ahead and select the file that you're working with. So I will go ahead and open the file I previously saved. Bingo. Now here we can see in the previous video, this is a different design, but just something cool. I want to make 4 individual coasters. To verify that my document's correct, this green line, we'll make sure it doesn't cut that in the settings. The black will be rastering, and the red will be a cut line. And that's what my coaster will look like when it's finished. To actually get this to transfer to the laser, all I have to do is click File, Print, and then hit Print again. That'll send it over. Now to get to the laser software, in the bottom right hand corner you'll see this red indicator, the Universal Laser Systems Control Panel. This little diamond with a vertical line there. If we click that, it'll bring us into the software that we need. So here we can see that this is our cutting surface. It goes from 0 to 18 inches on the Y and 0 to 32 inches on the X-axis. That helps us verify that what we have physically in our hand matches what the computer is expecting us to cut out. So it looks good. My plank, I know, is 15 inches, and on software it comes out 15 inches. It's also 4 inches width, and that checks out. Now, let's talk settings. In order to make sure this cuts all the way through, cuts slowly enough, we need to make sure that the settings are correct. If you don't know materials database, or if you don't know the specific material settings that you should be working with, feel free to always ask anybody in the lab and we can help you out. An easy place to start is under this materials database in the top left. So go ahead and click that. For this, I'll be using a 1/4 inch birch plywood sheet of wood. Now, I'll show you some settings later on, but if you're watched the first video on the tutorial and you're just making 4 coasters using the pre-cut blanks that are to the left of the laser, then the settings later on will be what you need. But if there's anything else, like an 1/8 inch piece of hardwood or softwood, for example, we can find it in the materials database. Go ahead and click Natural, and then under Natural we will look for wood and softwood. I'm sorry, medium birch, and go ahead and hit Apply. OK is when you're finished, so every time you're making changes, make sure you hit Apply. Now on our bottom left, sorry, the material thickness that we are currently cutting will be 0.25 inches. Oops, I hit Enter and I did not hit Apply. So I need to go back, Settings, Material Database, birch, material thickness, 0.25. Now I have, so when I hit OK last time, went to the material thickness I needed. Now, from there, that sort of presets your settings that the machine thinks will be good for your particular job. If you click in the manual control, this is what it actually reads. So when we talk about the line colors, this is what you can separate it out into. This is what the universal laser reads as lines that it can do. So the green line, notice we do have a green line in our file here, but that's only to show us where the board is and how much room we have to work with. We don't actually want to cut that. To see what mode it's in, if it's going to cut or not cut, it'll be listed here. The options are vector, skip, or rast. So for just a cutting like this, if we want to do a red cut line, we will select all of the other colors and select their mode to skip. Then make sure you hit Apply. Don't hit Set, hit Apply. And the black will be our rastering. So for this, we want to make sure the power is 100 power and 100 speed. Apply. And that'll be actually the image engraving. So the rastering is where it goes back and forth and engraves our image. The red will be the vector cut line, and that looks good. We will change this to 4%. I'm sorry, actually this should be 2.1. This should be 2.1. Just to verify, go to manual control. Speed is 4. I hit enter rather than apply, so I need to change that. 2.1. Hit apply. Great. Hit OK. And now we're ready to set the board. Actually, I'll show you what it would look like if you didn't cut all the way through. We'll go ahead and start with the speed at 4%. And if this is too fast, it won't cut all the way through, and then we can run it again to make sure it goes all the way through. So I'll go ahead and actually I'll just run these settings here. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Just grab any one of us here, and always happy to help set up settings and a really open learning environment. So never feel afraid to ask a question. All right, so our settings are set. We're looking good. A couple things to note over here. This will be the focus view. We'll be using that to focus our laser. This will be the time estimator. So the time estimator right here, I can go ahead and click that. Click start. This is a little confusing, but the time estimator, I'll start the estimation. Click that. Looks like this whole job will take 11 minutes and 38 seconds to engrave and then cut. From here I need to focus. So if I click this play button, it'd be bad news bears because I have no material inserted and I have not focused anything. So from here, I need to make sure that I put my material in and I focus it correctly. We'll start by opening the lid and inserting our material. The material is always in the top left corner, so I'll push it to the top left to make sure that it's nice and tight there. Good to go. Now this is actually the head of my laser, so when I focus it, this will come running over and it'll hit this. So what I need to do is sometimes it's set too far up, and if the bed was too high, the laser will just crash into the material, and that's extremely expensive. So to fix that, go ahead into hit down arrow twice to get to the Z axis, and we'll just manually lower that. So as I'm holding this down button, you can see that number is increasing. That number is the height difference from the tip of the laser. So if I open this front panel, you can see here, as I hold this down arrow, that is lowering. So I want to make sure it's low enough where this laser can come across and I know it's going to be okay. Looks like it's good for now. I will now focus it. So up here on the screen, I will go to the focus view. And what I want to do is focus my material at the very center. So whatever my center of my board is, I want to focus it there. Now this will, wherever I click on the screen, will make the laser actually go to that location. So if I click, I'm going to click in the middle of my board now, and it's going to go to the middle of my board. When I open this lid, it's going to show a red dot, and that'll be where I actually can focus. So from here, looks great. If I was curious where the edge of my material was, I can always check that. So I know that the farthest point of engraving is going to be like right here. So I drop the laser to that point, and yes, it looks like the red dot is on my material and it looks good to go. I'll now bring the laser back to the center, and I need to focus it. We'll swing on to the right here, and we use our focusing tools. Now, we are always going to be using the 2-inch focuser. So it'll be labeled here 2 inches. Now, what we want to rest is these things have a little shelf on them. So the front plate of this lens will be resting right on the edge of this tool. Get a side view here. We're going to want it so that it's snug up, just like that, just resting on it. So I'll go ahead and set this tool here, and I'll raise the bed up. Now, there's a large gap in the tool here. Make sure that when you're first raising the bed up, the tool is not underneath the laser. If the tool is underneath the laser, the bed will rise up, hit the laser, and things will get absolutely wrecked. So make sure the lens is far enough out, and then we can raise the bed. To raise the bed, we are in the Z as we did before. If you weren't in this, you can always go to click the Z, and we're back in it. Laser has gone to its corner now, so I will click the center of my artboard. We'll come back in position. I'll verify that the focus tool is not going to be hitting the lens, and now I can raise it up. So I'll hold this Z up, and the entire tray will move up closer to what I need. Great. Now the tool is safely not going to hit the lens here, we can bring this right in. And what we're looking for is just this edge right here to hit the bottom of this plate. It's a little bit difficult to see, but I hope it comes in this video. If you ever have any questions, always feel free to ask someone in the lab. But I will hold the up button, raise the Z until that's just touching. Great. Looks like we're in. Take my tool, put it back where I found it on the focusing tray, and now we're all set. We have focused it, set our material, have the proper settings, and now we can run the job. One important thing to note is that, remember in this video I turned off the vacuum here, so if you don't hear a big loud vacuum, you're not ready to run it. So I'm going to go back over here, turn that on, and then we'll run this and you can see the actual engraving start. We'll go ahead and close the lid. The lid actually protects you against laser radiation. It's important you wear safety glasses at all time, but never ever open the lid while the job is running. Come over here, and I will click start. I verified that the top hexagon is completely covered. The vacuum is now pulling from the universal emitter. Ready? Go ahead and estimate view. We've already estimated the time, but once you're in the estimate view, this green arrow, this green play button will pop up. This is the start button. So go ahead and click the start button, and now we'll see it go back and forth. What we're looking for here is anything that's super out of focus. Looks good here. There's no extra smoke. And if this whole area were to be getting cloudy, then it means the vacuum is not properly working, and we need to stop and fix that. So if the vacuum wasn't working, we can go ahead and click this pause button here. Now that's also automatically triggered if I try to open this lid. So if I open the lid at all, this laser automatically shuts off and returns back to its corner. Your job will be paused. Here you can see where it is in the engraving process by just visually checking. If I want to continue the job, I'll click the play button. Now the laser will come back into its position and continue grafting. It starts to open, so it's another good reason to never open the lid, because if you open the lid, it stops the job, resets, and then it will start over. Now what I could do is I can click pause. That'll pause where it's at, and it'll continue from there. But just make sure to never open the lid. And that's pretty much it for the raster. For the sake of this video, I'm going to stop there. And now I will go to my settings. If I just want to cut, I'm going to actually turn the rastering off. So I'll set the black, take the mode, I'll skip. Apply. Now the only thing you see here, the only thing we'll be cutting is the red vector line. We'll hit OK. Come back here to the time estimator. Okay, so I just paused the rastering earlier, just I want to show you the cutting, but this is what the cut line will look like. There's a lot of laser radiation on this, so just make sure you don't stare directly at the beam. It's fine to look at it for a bit, but don't stare directly at it. Now, given the amount of smoke that's coming off the top here, there's no flames, which is fine, but it looks like I need to go a little slower because it's not cutting all the way through. So I'll go ahead and change. And as I mentioned, if there's any problems at any point, no worries, you can just easily click this pause button. So when I click the pause button up here, the laser pauses, returns to its home position. Now, I can easily just start that again from wherever it's left off by clicking resume, and the laser will simply go back to where it was and continue that cut line. But I'll click pause. Now if I click pause and I hit play, that'll restart and the laser will go back to its first spot. So watch this, if I hit play rather than the resume, then it starts the entire job all over, which is not what I want. I'll hit pause. Now that's a pretty good example of the way it'll work. The settings I mentioned in this particular video are incorrect, so it didn't actually cut all the way through. So I'm going to have to run it again to make sure it cuts all the way through and change the settings. But if you know that same thing happens to you, all good. You can come back here into the settings tab, come here to the select the color you want, make sure it's the vector, and adjust the speed. So in this situation, I dropped the speed. I'm actually going to bring the speed down to 2.5. It was at 4. I'll hit apply and hit OK. So now, if I was on different tabs, zeros, estimate the job. Now I click this big green button, and we're going to go. So now we'll come here, and it will cut out exactly what I want at the slower speed, so I know it's cutting all the way through. Now, something I'm looking for right now to make sure it's cutting all the way through is that there's no smoke on the top. So if there's smoke on the top, that means that the air it's not getting pulled underneath, so there's no crack for the smoke to flow through. So right now we don't see any smoke because it's flowing through the crack. We're seeing a little bit of sparks here and there, but that's okay. As long as you don't see flames, that's the main thing we're concerned about here. The other thing to note is the flashing on the top. So seeing this flashing up here lets me know that it's hitting the bottom metal hexagon below it and then flashing upwards. So it's reflecting off the that means you're cutting all the way through the wood. It's reflecting off the hexagon beneath and then coming back up. So if you see that sort of light, flickering back up, that's a good sign. Out. I'm just going to let this run the extra square, and then I'll show you how to shut the machine down. Quick note on the settings. There's typically should be a paper here that will identify what the settings you're supposed to use. These are the current settings, obviously, which are wrong actually, so I need to update that. But whatever you need here, it can be. So that'll be settings. Now, whatever it is, sometimes the material changes. Just make sure that whatever you're grabbing from this pile, you use these settings that are whatever here, and not from the video. Just check whatever the sticky note is on the given day, which varies based on the material. So now that my job has finished, it's done. It's still a little bit cloudy in here, so I typically wait about 30 seconds or so to let that sort of filter out, because the vacuum is now pulling all that smoke, all the debris out and filtering it so we don't breathe it in. It's good here. I'll go ahead and open it, shut it down, and nothing's going to happen if I open it. It's totally fine. The job has finished. I can now raise the lid, grab my items. So I'll go ahead and raise the lid and grab my items. Now, this is the exterior. So you can see on this one, it didn't necessarily cut all the way through. You can see the line, but it didn't actually get all the way. On the back here, you'll notice that there are these little perforations. It means the laser basically made it, but it's just running a bit too fast. So that 2.5 speed actually should be more like a 2.1. You can just push this through and punch it out, and that's pretty easy to do. So, but it gives you these little frays on. So that's not an ideal cut line. But I'll go ahead and change that right now. This will be 2.1. But for the sake of video, you get it. These are where your settings live, and they'll be correct in the future for whatever material you're using right now. Now, I'll go ahead and take these. I stopped my raster short. Normally would have engraved the whole top, but I was eager to show you the cut line. So this is the finished product. Here's what it looks like. Basically, take your stuff here. If you leave your scrap, and don't put it in the trash, then you are trash. So let's be kind and throw away our scrap. Leave the laser nice and clean for the person next to it. There is super conveniently located a garbage can here. Make sure to throw away your scrap, clear it off. If there's any holes, a lot of times you'll have maybe holes or a keychain or something. Just go ahead and pick all those up, throw them in the trash. It really helps the next person and keeps it nice and clean for everybody else. You're good to go here. You're now done. You've collected your samples. So go ahead and pat yourself on the back. You've successfully laser cut your first set of 4 coasters. Now we'll just turn off the machine, the process in reverse of basically what we did before. So I'll just set these aside for now. You can go ahead and close the lid. Now I'll go ahead and turn off the vacuum. Go over here. And remember, to turn on, we went left to right. To turn it off, we'll go right to left. So I'll hit the stop. Then I'll hit the stop. And we are good to go. So this machine has shut down, stop the vacuum. Now when I come back over here, the only thing I have to do is switch it off. On the right here, you'll see the big fat cord. The switch is right tucked in here. So now it's off, you can hear the fan shut down. Screen goes black, and you're good to go. The computer turns off automatically by itself, so you are all set. As long as you clean up the area, remember to grab your coasters, and you're good to go. Now you can finish these off if you want to by taking a wet sponge and just scrubbing it with a little bit of soapy water. Give it a rinse off, and it'll be super nice and clean with no charred edges. So pretty nice, easy tool to have around. Enjoy. Thanks for watching. Remember, safety first. If you have any questions at all, just walk up. Sorry, shaky. Just remember, if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask anybody in the Innovation Lab anytime. And a helpful thing, after you're watching this video, before you hit run, if it's your first time, just go up to someone and say, hey, just watched the video, wondering if you can check over my settings before I hit start. They'll come on over, give you the thumbs up, and you're off and away. Enjoy, make some cool stuff, give people some gifts, brighten their day, and have a good one. Thanks for watching.